All right. So welcome. Welcome to the webinar on the Blue Star teachings, about the Blue Star teachings. My name is Jaclyn Ouillette Sanipass. And I don't know, I'm here with Tina. We're super excited to share all the stuff that's happening in the Star Teachings and Ancient Echoes world. We have a really exciting 2020 coming up that we want to talk about and share. And just we can see and hear you. Oh, nice. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin, but the Blue Star teachings. So we have Tina here. I invited her to come and to share. We are in the midst of planning a huge event for Halifax, Nova Scotia for April 29th, 2020 this year. And like this is going to be really big. We're looking for 1,500 star people to assemble together. And so Tina is one of our longtime teachers, students of the Star Teachings, and she is going to be one of the speakers at the event. And Tina has been with us since 2012, since the early years of the Star Teachings being brought to this world. So we wanted to kind of talk about what is the bigger picture, like what are we doing, or what do we think we're doing, and then bring that down to the events, and then we have this really special little video clip to share at the end, so don't go away. But I wanted to welcome you, Tina.
Thank you, Jaclyn. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to have been asked to speak at this big event happening in Halifax in April. Somebody was asking how long the event will be. I think it's probably a few hours long, maybe 3-4 hours, but then possibly time and room for other events later on, or possibly the next day, but we can get to that. So yeah, I'm really excited because we've had lots of events over the years, but now I feel like trying to collect 1,500 people in one place at the same time, like this is huge. This is really big. So like I said, I'm honored to have been asked to speak. I'm a little nervous because I think the most we had in 2012 was at almost 400 people that we had at that event in Portland. And that was amazing, great, amazing energy with the music, and people were lit up and excited. People came from all over, so I can't even fathom the energy that 1,500 people in the same place at the same time, listening to the same message, the energy that can really generate. So I'm really excited about how this is coming together, the way the community is offering all of their gifts, what they can do to make it happen. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think that there's there's so much leading up to this. So if you're kind of new to the Star Teachings, I think there's a lot of information that's out there that you can kind of tap into. Jaclyn, you might have more information on that, kind of more of the history, the backstory. So almost like doing your homework before you get to the event, because sometimes these, what I've come to find anyway for me, that the teachings are experiential. So being there, I think, is really important, and that's yeah, that's what I've got for now. What information do you have? I know that Star Teachings has a YouTube channel that has lots of information in regards to, like I said, the history. There's podcasts, there's other webinars, there's more audio clips, and Ancient Echoes have been sharing those over the last few weeks, kind of to trickle out the information that's out there. So yeah, that's a suggestion for sure, to kind of maybe dip your toe in the water a little bit, because there's so much information. It's so vast, but it's so simple at the same time. I like equating it to the simplicity of a tiny little droplet of water. It's so simple and so tiny, but if you as a person, and this physical person, could dive into that tiny little droplet of water, like that's how deep the teachings go, if you can even imagine or fathom that. So there's a lot of back history, but at the same time, Jaclyn and I were talking the other day about how this is the first time this information has crossed the cultural threshold. And I said, well, kind of, it's been like 8 or 10 years. And Jaclyn said, yeah, out of 20,000. So yeah, this has just crossed this threshold into our culture. It's the first time it's being shared with a non-native audience. And I think we're making history here. And this is great, amazing stuff that we've never really, that's never really been tangible, I guess. Maybe a lot of us as light workers or way showers or whatever label you want to put on that, we're almost grasping for straws to find the right medicine, if you will. Like, what is my purpose or whatever? What is the medicine that I bring to this place? And so we tap into lots of different kinds of modalities that seem to be old school or ancient or in the new age, or whatever label you want to put on that. So we dabble into all these things to try to find where we fit in. And I feel like the Blue Star teachings kind of brings all of that together. It encompasses all of those things. What is it that you pine for in this new vision of a new world that we're trying to create? Is it the agriculture? Is that where you feel your connection is? There's a place for that. Are you one that gears more towards the science and the technology? There's a place for that. Are you one that offers your warmth and kindness and just in simple gestures with people that you meet every day? There's room for that. If you're a devout Christian, whatever you are, there's room for all of it. So I feel like it's so important to hit home that piece and let everybody know that there's a piece for all of you. There's a piece for everything, for every little piece of you that you bring to this new place, this new vision. It's there. How about that?
Well, I got my notebook, so I'm taking notes, Tina. This is great. Never know what you're gonna learn. Yeah, so like, what are we doing? That's I think one of the biggest questions that we get is, it seems so unclear. What are we doing? From the beginning, from the beginning of the 2012, I remember that we're focused on 7 million lights, and we didn't exactly know what that was, but 7 million lights, turning me to we. Those are some of the things that we were working towards. So Tina, what are we doing?
I think we're all learning this dance together. That's what we're doing. We're learning how to undo what we thought we knew. And Jaclyn, you said this to me one time, and I use it all the time because I think it's a beautiful orchestration. Where what are we doing? We're unraveling, right? Unraveling what we think we know to come back together to weave something different. So what we're doing here right now today is trying to promote this big event where one of our teachers, David Lonebear Sanipass, is going to be speaking. There's going to be other speakers as well. And yeah, that's, we're trying to currently in this moment, I believe, promote this event and give people the understanding that, oh, there's so much there, and it takes the actual getting out of your seat and participating. It's easy to sit behind this little screen that we have and to type "Go team" or "Yay you." But what are we actually doing? What steps are we taking out in the world to actually do something different? We hear all the time, we are the change that we're trying to, whatever. Then be that change. Get out there and do it. Don't talk about it. I think that for me, before being introduced to the STAR teachings, again, talking about looking for all those little pieces that might be a piece of me that to help me move in a different way. I looked all over for, for what those pieces might be, but I didn't know how to put them together. Maybe I didn't know how to integrate them or implement them into everyday life. And that's where the challenge is. That's where it becomes difficult. Like, we have all this knowledge, and that's great. I can hold all that knowledge. That's why these teachings are experiential, because I can sit here and I can know that I'm smart. I can know all these things about myself. I can know this. I can know that I'm good at this, that, or know that this is my shadow piece. But I can't experience that without other people. I can't experience being kind. I can't experience being smart. I can't experience being a permaculture expert without other people around me to show what I know and to share what I know. The knowing of something is completely different than the experience of it. So it's in the participation, it's in getting up and moving in that direction that you feel is important. Yeah, so we're trying to motivate people to get up off of your ceremony, which is your seat, your bottom, get off your ceremony and get to this event. Get out there, meet people, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, travel with strangers, talk to people you wouldn't ordinarily talk to, ask somebody their name, just whatever it takes to step outside the box of conditioning that we walk in all the time. That's what we're doing. What are you doing, Jaclyn?
Trying to listen and learn something new. Oh my gosh. It's like you're saying a whole bunch, and I think a lot of what you're saying, it is hard to understand without that experience of it. But while you were talking, I was remembering in 2012, Tina and I had known each other before the STAR teachings. So we had been kind of acquainted and didn't know each other too well. But I remember there was an earthquake, and there was a speak coming up. It was going to be the first speak where David, well, I think it was the third speak actually, but it was the first one that I was going to. And it was like, so critical to share this information at this time. And so we were inviting everybody that we knew. And I went online and I stole a picture of David offline of him playing a flute, and I made this flyer like, David Lonebear Sanipass, the last remaining Sajin, is going to be sharing this information with us, and this is like the only opportunity that we are going to have, and we need to like show up and be there together. So I printed off a stack of these flyers, and I went into where Tina was working, and we had just had an earthquake in Maine, which is kind of, I don't know, not usual, I guess. It was noticeable. And so that had kind of shooken people up a little bit. And in the teas, we had said that we needed a sign. David was asking us if we need a sign, and we're like, yeah, well, what are you going to do with a sign if you see lights in the sky, or you have the earthquake, or, this being appears and you have that sign? Well, what are you going to do with it? What does it mean? And are you going to forget it in a week? So we had this earthquake. Everybody was shook up. It was 2012. So it was like the end of the world. And so I bring the stack of flyers into Tina's work, and like, you have to come to this. And it's like, what is it? And then like, that earthquake, the epicenter was in his backyard. You have to be there. And Tina lived near there at that time in Maine. And so a little bit later, it was October, and we were just going. It was fun. We didn't actually know exactly what we were doing, but we knew that people were excited and happy and lit up. And so I remember arriving there a little bit early, and the hall was full. There wasn't any more seats left. And so then here comes Tina and the trail of friends, and everybody's like, woo, what are we doing? Let's have some fun. It's not the end of the world. Let's do this. And at that time, we had so much energy, and we were all together being that excited, and being in the audience there. I know I've seen in some of the older notes that David didn't like to refer to this as an audience, because an audience is more for like entertainment, and that's not what he was doing. He's sharing these teachings. He's delivering these teachings that haven't been shared with us in this way. And so sitting there listening, it was like, I don't even know, just like so much information that I didn't understand, but I just sat there. I tried to write down some notes. At that time, I had this little notebook. It was like this big, and I thought I would be able to write notes in there. So I have like a whole book of those about the teachings. But once that evening, once those teachings ended that evening, everybody just came down from their seats and kind of gathered in the front, and met so many people. Everybody was already like trying to practice the teachings and find out who everybody was and what we did and how we could help each other. And they had to actually like kick us out. They were mopping the floors and the clothes a long time ago. But everybody was so excited to be together, and that energy is like gold. That energy is what we can use to make a difference. There were some of the suggestions in those early speaks were to go out and to give $1 away without judgment. So we would do this after the events, and pretty soon we had people like waiting outside for our vendors to get over because they knew we were all coming out with our dollars and smiles and giving things away because we were so inspired. So that energy, we had maybe between 100 and 200 people for those events. And so with Halifax, we're looking even bigger. So we're looking at like 1,500 people, and imagine that energy together. Imagine that event. There's going to be music. We may have a surprise guest coming that we'll announce soon from across the water to share. So we'll have music and lots of fun. It's not like I do play crystal bowls, and that's what I came into the Star Teachings with, and those are nice, but it's more like meditative and kind of more like the inner kind of journey. And I thought that's what spiritual was until I went to these speaks and Star Teachings events where it was a lot of energy and it was a lot of fun, and I couldn't sleep for 3 days after. And the other thing, so this part of the suggestions is to give $1 away. And I remember like giving, and I didn't have very much at the time. So anyways, I'm giving and giving, and I realize it doesn't have to be $1 that you're giving away. You can give away a handshake or a smile or your name, or an idea. There's lots to give, but at that time I was focused on this material giving thing. And then I was worried that, I wasn't going to have enough left. And I remember hearing, when you give it, it comes back. And like, that would be so great if like some dollars came back, so I could pay the tolls and put some gas in my old 1993 Volvo. And I was standing on a porch one day, where we had a tea, and it was in Bath, Maine, kind of near the grocery store. I was just looking outside, contemplating and wondering, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden, this little tornado goes by, and these dollars come out, come flying at me. And then I see this Tina going off into the grocery store. And it was just, such a gift. It was just like so much fun. And I don't know if we would have been doing anything like that if we hadn't listened, and we're trying to like give dollars away and to do it in different ways, to find different ways to connect with people and to make people smile and light up. So that's one of my favorite memories of Tina, is this little tornado throwing dollars around during those teachings. So, a lot of the questions that we get are like, what are we doing? What is the bigger picture? So the idea is that there's 7 million lights, 7 million people turning on their spiritual light. If we have 7 million people actually working together, we can make a lot of change in this world. So it's been said that with 7 million people, 7 million lights, we can shift from a path of war to a path of peace. We can begin to make that change, but we have to be working together. Right now we have different groups that maybe they're different environmental groups, and they're all working for the earth or the environment, but it's all separate. We're not having that volume of people working together or looking in one direction. So part of the 7 million lights, the acts of kindness. So we get together in person in teas. Teas is a whole other thing. Tina and I did a talk, and Tina and Julie Gilmore, our tea ambassador, also did another talk a little while ago. Those are on Star Teachings, YouTube, and Ancient Echoes YouTube. But we talk more about the teas in those videos. I won't go over all that now. But those are getting together in person, and then going out into our community. So we're building up this energy. We're building up this energy in the speaks, and then going out into our community and sharing that and giving that away. So I don't know, if I can imagine 200 people and what that felt like. If I imagine 1,500 people, what is that like? And then if you can even imagine like 7 million people all, I don't know, working together to make some change in this world. I don't know. I don't even know what that would look like, but it sounds incredible, What do you think, Tina, on that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I had named that earlier, that the energy that 1,500 people, bringing them all together, would really, I can't even fathom what that would look like or could even feel like. Pretty amazing. So, I feel like there's talk in Star Teachings about the acts of kindness, but also taking a different path home and going out of your way to participate. And I come to find that the more uncomfortable, like I've had situations arise, whether it be financial, whether it be family related, and some real life happens and something comes up, and I can't get to an event, or I feel like I can't get to an event, and so I succumb to whatever that tragedy is or that perceived problem is. I've succumbed to it, and so everything kind of stops there. When I persevere through whatever that is and make myself get to where I need to be to that event, afterwards, I'm always like, I knew I needed to be here. I knew there was a reason I was supposed to be here. And I leave there feeling a totally different way. And I, you know, it's hard to put things of spirit into human language. I think we've talked about this before, because spirit, I don't know, is different. That's why we're trying to interpret this vibrational language. And so it's hard to explain to people when they say, what is it? That's why there's almost no words around it, because it's hard to put it into language that people understand. Even, you know, Jaclyn and I did an exercise recently where, you know, where we were trying to be mindful of of language, right? And we were trying to form questions, right? Like viable questions. And the question was, what is light? Simple question. But light, the word light, just look up the word light on your dictionary and see how many definitions of light there are. See how many, not only definitions, how many different spellings of light are there. So what is light? What is light? So if you're trying to cross the barrier, cultural barriers, language barriers, you know, the language that we're using is really important, and to be cognizant of that. And so, you know, it's hard again to explain to people, what are we doing? You have to just come and experience it, because there's really, and once you experience it, please, if you have any words to put around it, if you have any language to put around it, bring it forward, because that's what we struggle with, trying to help people to understand how this teaching's actually changed the alchemy of people. It's changed who I am. It's changed to how I interact with people. It changes how I do my job. It changes everything about you as a person and all those around you and community. So I don't know. It's yeah. There's so many. We could go on for hours about how the teachings can change your perspective, change your view. You know, being in these light worker modalities in these different venues where there's lots of people that are trying to change the world. I since listening, deep listening, I've learned to listen in a different way. And it's funny. You know, my husband kind of participates, but he kind of participates from the periphery. And we were out one night and we were sitting at a table and just happened to like hear bits and pieces of a conversation next to us. And he started pointing out, do you hear that guy's talking I. Everything that comes out of his mouth is I. And I was like, wow, he's recognizing that. So that's what I find, you know, in these other light working communities. I want to listen and I want to learn from everybody, because everybody is a teacher. But as soon as I sit down and I start to listen and somebody's, I have this and I am doing this and I am amazing at this, and I'm like, oh, I just start to cringe in like, it's like nails on a chalkboard almost. When, you know, and then I wonder what place they're coming from. Are they really coming from a place of spirit and trying to share this information authentically, or are they trying to line their pockets with some information that they took from somebody else and they put a little bit of their teaching mixed in it and made it their own? So it's interesting that, you know, start to hear things differently, start to listen differently, start to walk differently. And it's so simple, but it's so hard to implement because we're so conditioned. We're so conditioned in our culture. We're conditioned to run away from things that are difficult. We're conditioned to jump into somebody's pit. Like when somebody's, oh, woe is me. Oh, let me get in that hole with you. Oh, woe is me. Let's be here and be miserable together, instead of choosing to not get in there and lift that person up out of that hole. It's a totally, like, different classes. I see the world in a different way. And I want everybody to see the world in this way. I want everybody to see how it can be different. Just a tiny little seed, let me plant it. And this is why we travel, right? This is why we take these teachings everywhere. This is why we're coming to Halifax, Nova Scotia. It has to start somewhere. We have to think bigger. We've been, in Maine, in little communities in Maine, little communities in North Carolina, Washington State, London. We've been to London, and now little pockets of communities in Canada, and now Nova Scotia, Halifax. So we need help. We need the help to get these teachings across the world. And it's not going to come from our tiny little satellite communities. It's going to come from the we. It's going to come from the greater scale, the greater vision. And I am I'm so grateful to be able to participate and help. I don't know how, and to help, because I think that's all it's about. Lending a hand. What are your gifts? What's your medicine that you bring to the world? Offer it, bring it. If it's dollar bills, bring it. If it, like I said, if it's environmental causes, saving the world, saving the ocean, bring it, because we need it all. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that energy, though. It's going to be so amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina. Oh my gosh. I don't even know, like 8 years doesn't seem like a long time. Kind of went by in a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye. But my goodness, I don't know. I mean, I was friends with Tina before, and just witnessing that journey that you've been on and how much we both have changed through this. And I guess the thing that I appreciate the most is, when David first started sharing these teachings, or not when he first started sharing, when I first started going and listening, because he'd been sharing for 42 years before this. I kind of went in thinking that I was already on a spiritual path for a while, and that I knew a lot of things. I played crystal bowls. I'd studied in Peru. I had spent thousands of dollars to take these courses to learn energy medicine, and I pretty much knew everything coming in. So sitting there and listening, the way that David shared was to not believe everything that he said, to do your own research. And at first I wasn't really that trusting, because why would somebody from the Mi'kmaq Nation come sit in a living room and share these teachings? And what he was sharing was real stuff, real practical things that we could use. And he also talked about the cool things about portals and different things more in a scientific way. But I was a little skeptical and just a little unsure, because it's so different. Like, that has never happened. And I couldn't imagine that it ever would. And so just to hear him say, you don't have to believe me, what I'm sharing is my own, well, I don't know exactly the words that he said, but more like his perspective, his life journey, what he's experienced, and he's just sharing it with us. And through that, like, we're allowed to listen, and we can do our own research. If it makes sense or we learn from it, great. If we don't like it, just take a grain of salt with it. But it kind of opened my mind to a lot more. So I know a hell of a lot less now than I did then 8 years ago. Yeah, and I'm grateful, because I get to continue learning and studying, and there's always so much to expand into. And I was talking with Tina earlier, and she was talking about how she was so spiritually awoke in the beginning, and then kind of what she's discovered. So I wondered if you wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. It's a little embarrassing because I thought I was so woke. Yeah, going around and sharing all the wisdom that I had gained from all those modalities that I dipped my finger in, like I said. Yeah, and then I thought I think, that I was at least at the starting gate, at least at the starting gate of spirituality, wokeism. But let me say, yeah, I found out quickly that I wasn't even at the starting gate. No, wasn't even there. I couldn't even see the starting gate. I don't even think I was on the right path. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Yeah, but maybe I was on the rocky trail before you get to the path that leads to the starting gate. My dog is doing his job. I think there's somebody here. So anyway, yeah, so that's a whole other realization. Kind of put yourself in check. You think that you have all this knowledge and all the wisdom or whatever, but really, how are you using it? That was the thing. I wasn't using it. I wasn't implementing it. I wasn't sharing it with anyone that, maybe I was sharing my 2 cents, whether people liked it or not, but, they weren't asking for the information I was sharing. So, yeah, but it kind of, like I said, puts you in check. It's a path that is not for the meek. It makes I think what I've said in the past that as you let more light in, all of those things kind of bubble to the surface, things that have been maybe hidden or things that maybe you never wanted to look at. So those things kind of start to bubble to the surface, and you're forced to look at them. You're forced to evaluate, you're forced to reconcile. But that's part of the process. It's not all fluffy all the time. It's not all glitter and rainbows all the time. It's work. It's work. But the beautiful part of the work is that it comes with community, that it comes with a community of kindness. It comes with people who care about your process, people that are going to pick up the phone and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Are you okay? Or I haven't heard from you. Where have you been? And, I think that's the part that's missing when we go through our yuck. We want to isolate ourselves and we want to do that on our own. We don't think anybody wants to be bothered with that, but that's the difference, that we all go through that. We're all vulnerable at one point or another. So to be there for one another, we're better to go through that metamorphosis, maybe whatever that is, than in a community of kindness where you can be held in a beautiful way and not be judged for whatever it is that ends up on the other side of that. So yeah, that's been my process, that I thought I was so all that, but I wasn't. And it takes community, and I'm still not, for sure, but I feel like I'm a lot further along, and I have a lot more understanding. And the friends that I've created, the friendships, the connections, I've never ever in my life had richer relationships than with these people. I mean, we might not talk every day, but I know at any point I can pick up a phone and call those people, and they'll be there if I need help, anything I need. I just recently went through radiation and chemotherapy for cancer treatments, and I asked for help because it's hard to ask for help, but that's what Star Teachings teaches you. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because people don't know you need help unless you ask. They can't read your mind. So I asked for help. I had no idea. I had no idea what would come forward. It was amazing. People I don't even know, people I have never met, people that I do know, people that are very dear friends, sending whatever they could to help my family during that really difficult time, during that struggle. But ordinarily, 8-10 years ago, I wouldn't have asked for the help, because how do you ask for help with people that you see sometimes? Like, this is a community. We have woven this community over many years, and it's amazing as it keeps growing. The more people that that flow in, it just becomes a beautiful piece of tapestry on the wall, right? Every single thread is a different person, and up close we can't really see what our sparkly, ratty little thread looks like. But when we stand back and we look at the tapestry with all of those things woven together, my ratty little piece of thread is beautiful. It is beautiful in that tapestry. It's amazing. I can't believe it. We all are. It's amazing. Back to you.
I don't know how I catch that. Yeah, Tina, you've had just such an incredible story, and it's just so good to see you here right now and glowing with that funky star behind you. I think it's a star. Yeah. But oh my gosh, like just incredible what you've been able to do, and just hearing the support from the community and all of that, just incredible. And I was wondering, is that a butterfly on your shirt?
What? Yes, it is a butterfly. Thank you for noticing.
Either snowshoes or a butterfly.
It's a copper butterfly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. You should wear that tonight.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Transformation. Awesome. I wanted to mention too, if anybody's in the chat that has questions, you can throw those in there as we're going, and we'll try to answer those. Your questions are probably questions that other people have too. Tina was talking a lot about the star language and trying to understand, and even Tina and I, after 8 years of going through all this together and knowing each other before, we can say the same sentence and I might hear it differently, and they're like, what? Oh yeah, at least we can work through it. But it's just so confusing that in English one word can mean so many different things, or have so many different definitions. So it does take listening and kindness and asking the questions to help us all understand. So there's a question about, what do you mean by the star language? Vibrational. Are we speaking vibrational? Yes. And, we've been trying to understand what the star language is and even how to go about beginning to learn it. These star teachings come from copper scrolls that the copper has been dated at least 20,000 years by the Smithsonian, and they have symbols written on them. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's kind of like a relief where the symbol is up higher than the rest of the copper. And those symbols, each one is representing like a whole, it's not even representing, it is a whole story. And the way that it's read, it gives more information. So like in our language, we have the word apple for an apple. So we have to learn the word apple and then say it applies to this apple. In the older languages, the word is the actual vibration of the apple. So the word is the apple. And I don't know how to share really any more than that. But these teachings, David has translated them from the scrolls. And then when he speaks mostly in English to us here. And in those words, like he's sharing the English so we can start to understand that English, but that word or that sentence can be whole novels of information. So even with the teachings, like the teaching of kindness, just understanding that one vibration, it's gonna, I don't know, take lifetimes, I think, to figure out. I think there's at least 600 different lessons in kindness. And we're just starting to learn that and understand it. And then within kindness, there's compassion and happiness and ego and all the other teachings. So the first teaching is kindness, the second teaching is kindness, the 27th teaching is kindness. So that's one vibration that we're working with to understand. And I guess some of the words that are shared would be a whole novel of information if we go into it and to study it. So if one word is a novel of information, then what is a sentence and how many different combinations can you have of that? So this language is more, instead of just like a flat kind of thing, when it's spoken, it gives us more information. It can give like time, location, texture, color, like all of those things, instead of just saying an apple, and then you'd have to know what the apple is in order to apply that. Tina, do you want to try answering that one a little bit? What is the star language?
Yes, hologram. Yep, you're on to something there with a hologram. I know that. I don't really know much about the star language. I know that it took us 3 years just trying to study kindness and that vibration before we even got to the second teaching. So I know that there's a lot woven into it. I still don't understand the full vibrational understanding of what kindness really is. I have a better understanding than I did when I thought I was at the starting gate, like I said. But yeah, again, it's hard to put into words. It's maybe, yeah, I can't even go there. The what I've come to find more so is maybe the way the vibration. So it would be for me a feeling. I know that I am able to, when somebody lies to you, like it has, I don't know, it has a different vibration than when they're telling you the truth. So it's kind of like that, like being able to discern in that way. That's the only really way that I can put it. Like, when somebody's lying to you because they can't look you in your eyes, or their body language, because only 10% of what people are saying is coming out of their mouth, right? The rest is all caught up in everything else. So, yeah, so maybe being able to recognize the vibration, like truth versus non-truth. That's that's really all I know. I can't go to the Copper Scrolls and translate anything, and I think I don't even know if in our lifetime would really unravel or unwind that star language, especially for us humans. Recently, though, Ancient Echoes, didn't they post something about the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? And the tones that they used in that movie, and why they used those tones and why they chose those tones. What's interesting is I was so enamored with that movie when I was young, when it first came out. And I remember, you know, in the crowning moment when the aliens come off the ship and everybody's there lined up, and not only do they have the tones blasting, but they have lights blasting. And not only do they have different light sequences blasting, but there's a man that's standing there and he's making hand movements to the different tones as well. So there's so much caught up in it, and I think we're just starting to get to the tip of the iceberg, as far, you know, just beginning to chip away at the iceberg, if you will. For as far as the language is really concerned, I think it's going to take 1,500 people in Halifax to come figure it out. That's what I think, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Like the teas that we have, the gatherings in circle, they're set up in a specific way, with conductors and co-conductors, and in that way we practice listening to each other, and everybody has a chance to speak. But when we hold that circle as it's been described and passed down to us, or passed to us, it's almost like it's not what we're saying with the words that is what's important, I guess. But as you go around the circle and it's held that way, you can hear more. You can hear like a whole other voice that's beyond what everybody is saying, or you can hear that kind of collective community voice. And I think that's part of how we're learning to understand that language, and that's why it's so important to be in person. And with the bigger speaks, we have more volume of people, more people to help to understand that language. But you know, when we try to put it through Zoom, we try to put it through our phones, our technology, if it is a vibrational language, then what happens when it goes through all this technology? It turns it into a machine language, and then you receive a machine language on the other end. So you're missing out on, you know, our own technology is so much more advanced than these computers. We just forgot how to use it. So coming to the T's is important. We're gonna start sharing that more. Like we mention it, but people want to know what they can do to help, and they want to know what we're doing. The best thing to do is to find a T and to get to one of those, to get to an event. And we're all volunteers. So we have volunteers who set up the teas, events, and posting on Facebook and all of that. So nobody is paid for any of this. So that is a challenge in itself. So there's not teas everywhere because we need to train the volunteers, and they often pay out of their pocket to travel to come learn. So if you're in North Carolina, near Franklin, and Tina's in the Highlands, so in that area, yeah, and Tina's our contact there, but there's teas that happen monthly there. There's teas that happen pretty frequently in Maine, sometimes New Brunswick, now in Nova Scotia, and we've been out to London a few times. And then we have been across the country to, you know, Arizona and California. Just takes a little while to get set up. The next big event will be the Halifax, Nova Scotia event. So we're encouraging everybody to get to that. If you're going to go to a live event, to get there, it doesn't cost anything to get into the event. We are setting up Eventbrite tickets, so we can receive donations, because we do still have to pay for the venues and pay for travel for the teachers to get there. So I think the tones, experiencing but not knowing what they mean or come from, is this questioning true? I am going to do a little screen share. We have an event set up. I mean, we have a fundraiser. Let me find. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So on Ancient Echoes, this website is ancientechoes.org. It's on my, you wouldn't see all this stuff up here. I've just been editing, but this is where we're starting to put a lot of the information. So if you go to this website, you'll see we have a video library. We're gonna have a star library that will be coming soon. That's for people that are really involved in helping with the T's and becoming teachers. So that's a new website that's in development. We have some of the technologies that come from the Copper Scrolls, the Magic Mirror, T's as a technology, and you can find a link to find out where all the T's are happening on that tab. Messages, the message from Spirit, that's a little bit more about that on here. Who Ancient Echoes is. Star Teachings, this goes to the Star Teachings website, talks about the Star Teachings more. All of our Ancient Echoes events. We have products. Most of those are made by David. He does drawings that are, so I can show you that, translated from the scrolls. There's a little bit David signing his prints. But on the side you can see we have hoodies with his prints on them and t-shirts. We just got our samples today. They came out awesome. And then these are the magic mirror that he makes. Some of the prints, they're 14-inch by 14-inch. And those are all stories and information in them, which is pretty cool. So sales from all of that goes to help with venues and travel and paying our Zoom fees and webinar fees and all that. But specifically for Halifax, we have a fundraising page. So this is the 7 million, hopefully looking in one direction. But we have Art and Tech Rewards, a fundraiser. And this talks a little bit about Ancient Echoes. Ancient Echoes is formed to help David share the Star Teachings and technologies with the world. So we do that through live events, building technologies and fundraising to make these more available. We're having the anticipated cost for the Blue Star Teachings here. And the venues, we have seen multiple different costs, anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000 for that size. So we're still looking, and we need to secure a venue. So that's part of what the fundraiser will help us do. We have donation-based tickets on Eventbrite. The link is here. So if you plan on coming and you want to send a donation, that helps. And we have a GoFundMe campaign set up, and the link is here. And then we have different reward levels. So you click on the image and it will bring you to PayPal. So this is Ancient Echoes, and Ancient Echoes is what is supporting the Star Teachings and David and these events. So all of these images, if you click on them, will go to that PayPal, and then you just choose whatever you want to donate. So we have different rewards. So $7 to $16, we'll do a digital thank you, and it might even be a video thank you. And then we have the MP3 teaching with David that's never been published before. So if you donate between $17 and $26, then we'll send you that link, and we send it right away. These are the different t-shirt options. So we have like a women's style t-shirt and a kind of a unisex, I guess, t-shirt, and hoodie. And those are Ancient Echoes design on there that David drew. It has the Ancient Echo symbol in the center and then the Milky Way galaxy behind it, as if you're looking on top. So any of the sales from these, you can purchase them. These you can do with PayPal or credit card, and they're pretty cool. And then we have, this is called Tease is 3. It's a archival quality print, and David will sign it for you and we'll send it to you. That one's 77 to 106. And then the Ancient Echoes print, also archival quality inks and paper and everything. They're really nice, like thick paper. And David will sign that one for you also. And then we have, as another award, David makes these Destiny Eye pendants. So they're pretty involved, but they're layers of fine silver, sterling silver. It has copper and gold on the inside, and it reacts with your skin, the salt on your skin. So each one is, he does it like hand graving under the microscope, so each one is a little bit different, and they're custom made. So those are 227 to 306. And then we have a few more available now, but you can choose 4 of these signed prints. We have 2 more that he just completed that are in the shop now, being prepared. They're pretty awesome. There's one with a loon, and they all have stories and information in them that relate to the Star Teachings. So that is 307 and above. And then also David makes these Atlantis Eye pendants. These ones are 2 inches by 2 inches, so they're bigger. They're twice the size as the Destiny Eye, but they have moldavite in the middle and sapphire and gold on them. This one, he does them all differently, so they're all custom made for each person. This one has this kind of triangle here, and this is the back, so that the light actually goes through that piece. It was pretty cool. But he does all the hand engraving under the microscope. So those are 1,300 plus, and that includes the shipping too. And then the magic mirror, those are 3,700. This has, it's not like a hard mirror. It's like a mylar type kind of, I don't know, like a material. It's flexible, so if you were actually touching it, it would dent a little bit. So it's delicate on the front, and he has technologies on the inside underneath that mirror, and that reacts to your energy field or your group's energy field if you have a group, and it amplifies that. So we've had people here at our house in the living room we have a mirror like this hanging up, and everybody was just laughing, and then it reacts. So then the more you laugh, the more you laugh. And he showed us, he took out his instruments to measure and showed us the measurements of this mirror, and then measurements of us and how our energy changed in the group. And after laughing, we do have some videos on Ancient Echoes with more about those mirrors too. And then we have some additional goals beyond this event. So we're going to work towards Halifax event first, and then we have some of the technology that we're working on raising money for also. So that is our fundraiser that we have going on right now. So it's already up. Stop share. Cool. So if there's still time, would you speak more on the Blue Star before we say goodnight? I think we could. Tina, do you want to say anything more about the Blue Star before we go?
Yeah, I saw that that question pop up, and I was looking through my notes there recently on Ancient Echoes. You shared one of the conference calls, I think from 2017, when we were talking about the Blue Star. And I think that it was named that 12,000 years ago, that Vega used to be our North Star, and that is the blue star. That's, see, I just had it out here and now I put it away. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that the Vega was our North Star 12,000 years ago. And some technology and wisdom that comes with that blue star, this knowledge for everyday life, knowledge of the blue star. But how I put that to use is what's important. And then there was a suggestion to keep looking for the knowledge. So I think that that conference call is out there. It's only about 30 minutes. It's not very long. So yeah, that's the information I have from that, because I just recently watched it again. So I just have those notes fresh. So that's what I know as far as the blue star goes, is that Vega. It would be interesting to do some research though, and to see, you know, Polaris being our North Star now, and why that shift took place, you know, 12,000 years ago, and was it the Earth that moved and made that happen, or was it our direction that shifted? So that's all I know. What about you? What do you know about the blue star, Jaclyn?
I don't know, but I can make some assumptions. You know what assumptions do. Oh no.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, the star teachings they're from Vega, and some of the story is those star teachings leaving a planet. I think David refers to a planet near Vega as Vega. So these beings that were on that planet, there were at least 8 civilizations, I can't remember exactly, that had to go because they had maybe 2 suns, maybe 3, I can't remember, and they became unstable. So they had to go find a new place, a new planet to live. So I think 8 civilizations went out looking for planets where they could live. And eventually those people, I think, you know, went to one place and then to another star system, then to another, and then finally to Earth. So that origin of the star teachings being Vega. But I've also heard blue star referred to as other things also. And it's actually cool too if you look up the size of Vega and the size of some of the other stars, just to get a sense of, you know, how immense some of these stars are out there compared to our sun. We're like just this little tiny fleck, you know, this little tiny piece of dust floating in space or something. But the blue star I've also heard of as, you know, like the smaller than small. There's a star inside of each one of us that is smaller than small, and that has a blue light. The star teachings are related to blue light. Blue is our color and everything. You'll notice it in Ancient Echoes and Star Teachings. And then this is actually Harmony, a Harmony mug. It was a painting that David did, but all of those are blue, and that has to do with the vibration. The color that we see here is, as David puts it, for our convenience, but really, like in the spirit world, there's no different colors. There's you know, the different vibrations. So blue is a really significant one. In the teas, when we do a tea, if we get that technology right, there's a blue light that appears in the center. So that is pretty cool, and I've seen some of the blue lights and some of the teas, but we have to be able to be sitting there and to be open, and to not cut each other off, and to not cross talk across the circle, but to allow each person to go around the circle, because that T, we're working with electricity. So when we get that circuit going and going really good, then that blue light can appear. So I don't know exactly. Of course, we never know what's going to be shared at those big events. It's always new information, and the more people who are there to receive that information, the more that can be shared. So we want to have as many people get to that event in person as possible, so that we can have more of that information shared. I'll say some of what Tina and I were talking about in 2012 when we had those big events. We would have a speak and then tease, and the community came together, and because of all that work that we were doing, the acts of kindness, sitting in the circle, listening, because of that, it created a blue light over that area for 2012 that could actually be seen from a distance, like over Portland, Maine. So that's pretty fascinating. It's I don't even know how to describe it, but I hope that helps a little bit, Kayla. And thanks for that question. There's probably immense teachings on that, so we'll have to keep digging. But we did post a couple of videos on seeking the knowledge of the Blue Star, and then still talking about the Blue Star was another conference call. Those are all in the videos right on Facebook on Ancient Echoes. And the most recent one was a conference call about the ancient teachers. And so that talks a little bit more about the T's and how they got here. So anyways, Tina, is there anything else you want to share before we go?
No, just to implore people to get to Halifax if you can, and to arrive with open ears, open minds, and to donate and bring your gifts, because this is big doings.
Yeah, we need a lot of help sharing too. Yes, somebody's asking about the time. The actual event for Halifax will be 4 hours. And that's with the music and speakers that are coming, that are teachers in the Star Teachings. We have Tina, we have Chantel is going to be here or be there, Chantel Purcell. She is amazing. She helped to bring the Star Teachings to Halifax probably a year to a year and a half ago. I can't remember how long, but she's big in bringing those there. Her husband, Trevor Sanipass, will also be speaking, and Tina, and then myself, and there's a couple others that will be coming. We'll be posting that soon. But our teachers, our tea conductors, our travelers are going to be there. So we'll have more than just that one big event. So we'll have that big event. We'll also have teas planned, and that is in the process right now. So some of our teachers are planning on going for a week, and that way they can go. We can have some teas and smaller gatherings ahead of time before the big event. We'll have the big event, and then we'll have teas to follow up also. And we'll be posting more of that as the venues are secured, and the locations and times and travels are all worked out. So yes, it will be more than just the 4 hours. It'll be a good time to get together with the community from our teachers that are coming from all over also. So we are gonna share this little snippet, and this was created by Tina and her daughter, right? Did I get that right, Haley?
It was a whole family affair. We all did it. Yeah, we're all guilty.
Okay, so I'm gonna share this as just the last thing, but keep an eye on Star Teachings on Facebook. You'll see teas. There's gonna be teas. Patricia McNair, Brian Dugas, a couple other people in Nova Scotia are helping and planning and working really hard to have teas in those areas. Nova Scotia is a little big, but there's going to be teas in different areas before the actual Halifax event. So if you're near there or want to travel to a tea, we'd highly recommend it. That right now looks like mid-February, probably February 14th through, a couple days after that weekend. And there's some fundraisers, and they're fun, like capital FUN fundraisers that they're planning on that sound really amazing. So if you can get to those, get to those. And just, stay posted, because we're always, as people step forward to help and volunteer, then, we can do more and more fun things. So hopefully this will work. Use TV. All right. Imagine there's no heaven. So you say if you try, no hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Yay!
Everybody got to see that. Oh my gosh, I saw more the second time. So we'll upload that. Well, they're saying thank you, fun. Yes, we will upload that to Ancient Echoes and Star Teachings, the YouTubes and the Facebook, so everybody can see that. And if you have something that you want to share or a way that you want to participate, reach out, send a message. Reach out to any one of us, Tina or I, or Ancient Echoes, Star Teachings. Send a message, and we'll connect and see what we can do. We can use help all over the world. So thank you so much for being here, for taking the time out to listen and to participate. I know we have a lot of listeners who are tea lights and tea conductors and travelers and helping to plan the events, and we're just so deeply grateful to be able to be a part of this community. That's all I have. Tina, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think you summed it up. I appreciate everybody that showed up live to participate, and I'm really excited to meet new people. I'm excited to share the teachings and share the light.
All right.
The time has come. The time is now. Here it is.
Oh, all right. Let's do this. All right.
Thank you.